In Solo Leveling, on the last day of the International Guild Conference, Jin asks how Jin-Ho is feeling, to which he responds good as new. As Jin-Ho proudly cries knowing that Jin fought Thomas Andre the Goliath, a group of men talk about how he's on another level as he's right in front of them, yet they can't feel his presence at all. While they realize that Jin-Ho must be the hunter Jin fought Thomas Andre to save, a man greets Jin-Woo, introducing himself as the CEO of a global corporation specializing in dealing with monster remains, and offers to purchase all of the giant monsters he's hunted. Noting the good timing, Jin says that he's mainly in charge of the raids, and his vice chairman is in charge of all the business-related matters. Watching Jin-Ho, Jin smiles inwardly, seeing that Jin-Ho is really a proper vice chairman now. At this moment, Adam hands Jin a list, explaining that they've ranked the hunters by points they assign them based on their contributions and activity. The 10 hunters listed at the top are leading in points. He tells Jin that if he accepts their proposition, then he'd likely be asked to protect those people. Curious, Jin asked where he himself would rank. Adam replied, saying that taking in account the giant monsters he took down, he would rank somewhere around 3rd or 4th place. First is Thomas Andre, second is Liu Jigeng, third is Christopher Reed, and the 4th was Siddharth Bachchan. Calling it a drag, Jin decides to put a shadow soldier on each of them, instead of memorizing all their names. He'll make contact with the rulers through these hunters. This way, he'll be able to tell who's friend and who's foe, and who he'll need to fight. Footsteps approach, and suddenly everyone gets serious. Thomas Andre calls Jin-Woo's name and asks to ask one thing, explaining that because the damage his arm took from magic power, the healer's healing magic is not working, and the doctor said the same thing, that even though it's slowly recovering, it's still far from complete recovery. Knowing that Jin could have single-handedly wiped out his entire guild after dealing with him, and acknowledging that amidst the chaos, not a single guild member has died, excluding Huang Dong-su, the cause of the commotion. Thomas asks Jin why he let them live. Jin answered calmly, saying that Thomas hadn't committed a sin deserving death, turning his head and walking away. He mentions that he plans to have a great funeral for Mr. Huang. Even though he committed a sin deserving of death, Thomas asks Jin to let him have a funeral, raising his arm and adding that when it's healed he would like to have a meal with Jin, and if he gives his manager his contact info, he'll contact Jin later. Bowing, the manager explains that Thomas just showed his gratitude towards him for not harming his guild members, and no matter how he looks, he's actually quite a shy person. Insisting Jin gives her his contact info, Laura says that Andre wants to give him a gift of gratitude. However, Jin declines, explaining that her master is very competitive and becomes uneasy when he feels he owes someone a favor. Laura says anything would do. Thinking a dagger would be useful, Laura appreciates his understanding and departs. As she leaves, Adam asks if they should meet and greet with the hunters on the list. However, Jin dismisses the idea and asks if there's a person missing, as he doesn't see rank 6 hunter. Surprised, Adam admits that they lost contact with him a couple of days before the conference. The secret agency and the Brazilian government both have yet to find his whereabouts. Questioning if he was already done in, Jin notes that leaves 7 people. Back in South Korea, Chairman Go calls it strange, as his heart refuses to stop shaking these days. His heart's been this way for a couple years now, but he could feel it getting worse. Questioning if this is his limit, he knows the doctor said he could lose his life within half a year if he keeps up the work. Since then, 2 years have passed, and he's where he's at currently. His office phone rings, to which he answers to a voice making sure nothing happened today. Calling her a worrywart, he says he was just about to go back when he suddenly senses something. Looking out the window and questioning what this is, he wonders how this could have happened before looking over to see the Frost Monarch and this guild conference. Then he wonders if he could have a proper conversation with him and acknowledges that he couldn't sense him when he arrived, so he's not someone he can take alone. Telling him that this place has already been isolated from the outside world, Gun-hee questions if he's dreaming right now, but suddenly getting shot in the shoulder, he looks over to see the ice expanding. Blue Grandpa points out that if this was a dream, he wouldn't be able to feel the ice, causing Gun-hee to conclude this isn't a dream. Asking once more who he is, the monarch says he was hoping he would recognize him without having to say anything, but he is a mere human after all. The chairman questions this, as the Frost Monarch says he doesn't have an interest in playing with weaklings, and demands the fragment of luminosity to reveal himself, guessing that he's worried about his medium breaking. Grandpa says it's bound to break at some point anyway. Charging an attack, he says if he's worried about something like that anyway, then a conversation is pointless. Firing the attack, Gun-hee covers up as it impacts, creating an icy explosion. The monarch welcomes their meeting as eyes leer back from the smoke. He throws another attack that rockets towards the smoke wall, but as it closes in, Gun-hee backhands the attack, effortlessly redirecting it and causing it to break the window. The most brilliant fragment of luminosity applauds the monarch for isolating his office and trapping it in a dimensional crack. Blue Grandpa says that he's been looking for a long time, and to think that luminosity was just struggling to use his true power in a broken medium, revealing they've already found the locations of all 7 of his fragments and have broken 2 of them. The monarch adds that he wanted to see the embarrassment on his prideful face before killing him, and now that he's seen it, he can destroy luminosity without regrets. Luminosity screams that he can try it if he can, but the monarch finds it foolish he's trying to fight, since he's merely borrowing the body of a human versus himself, who has completely conquered one. The two show down, and the Frost Monarch crosses his arms before blasting ice towards luminosity. However, pulling his head back, he headbutts right through it and charges at the Blue Grandpa, punching at him. The monarch dodges before blasting ice out his chest, but eyeballing it like an absolute Chad, luminosity slips the attack and returns with a left hook. Yet, putting his hand up, Grandpa freezes the fragment's arm. Channeling his energy, he shatters the ice while grabbing at the monarch, and the two blitz around the room. Knowing he needs to finish this while he can still move, he prepares a devastating blow. The monarch creates an ice shield, and luminosity punches it, shotgunning the monarch across the room. Taking a toll, luminosity falls to one knee and questions if this is his limit. Frost Monarch calls him pitiful before vanishing. Appearing before luminosity, he pierces his ice straight through his medium's fucking chest, questioning how much time it will take him to find a new medium. The monarch says that their forces have already gathered, and this world will be destroyed before his return. Stating that his mistake was trying to protect this world, he asks if luminosity really thought he could win without his guards. Grinning and clenching the monarch's arm, luminosity questions if he really thought he fought against him for no reason. Just like they weren't able to predict they would follow in the fragment's footsteps, there's something important they missed as well. As the monarch questions this, luminosity charges his energy and slings an attack that the monarch barely dodges, causing it to crash into the wall. As Blue Grandpa sweats that off, luminosity weakens. Acknowledging the close call, the Frost Monarch hopes that wasn't the important thing he was talking about. Luminosity affirms this as the barrier cracks before shattering. Doubting anything would change even if this worked, luminosity says, "Now," and a shadow ant dashes for the barrier. Escaping the office, the monarch questions what a single soldier from the abyss would do. However, seeing an afterimage, Blue Grandpa realizes before dashing toward the exit. Flying out the window, the Frost Monarch prepares to cleave the ant, but as he closes in and his blade descends, a shockwave rips through the air, and the monarch is suddenly halted mid-swing, as single-handedly Sung Jin-Woo stopped the blade. Grabbing the monarch, he questions who the hell he is. The Frost Monarch acknowledges the sheer number of soldiers under Jin-Woo's command, and questions why the Shadow Monarch didn't make contact with them even after amassing such a significant force. Remembering the Ice Elf, who failed to be extracted from, Jin thinks that he was forgetting about it as the monarch confirms that Jin was the thing he was missing out on. Charging his breath, ice surrounds Jin-Woo's arm as the Blue Grandpa blasts ice and sends Jin flying into the air. Questioning if he's a magic user type, Jin summons a dagger and shatters the ice, suggesting they stop fighting, as he's not here to fight with their lives on the line. The Frost Monarch asks Jin-Woo if he had come to save a particular human, and in this moment, Jin realizes that this ant is the one he put on the chairman. As he looks up to see a weakened Gun-hee approaching the broken window, Blue Grandpa points an ice blade at him and tells Jin to choose: fight against him or save the chairman. The monarch launches the spear. Jin quickly uses ruler's authority, but the Frost Monarch's magic resistance negates the effect. Realizing this, Jin leaps upward and throws his dagger. However, it misses as the ice spear dodges it in mid-air. Just as the spear closes in on the chairman, Jin-Woo jumps in the way, deflecting it with his dagger into a nearby building. Looking back, he sees the monarch trying to flee and summons his daggers. Using Dagger Rush, he pierces his shoulder. Enraged that a mere vessel dared scratch him, he admits that he, the Frost Monarch, will retreat and wait for the next time Jin's shadows open again, and to think of the nearly dead human as a gift for his shadow army. Guessing he couldn't do anything as events unfolded because of the barrier, Jin curses. Beside the chairman, he knows it's not something he can heal with a healing potion, so he calls Beru. Blitzing to the scene, he orders him to heal Gun-hee. However, after trying to heal him, Beru admits his healing didn't work. Left with no other choice, Jin considers the holy water of life might help, but the chairman grasps his hand, pleading for him not to use it. Thanking him for coming, Drip-Woo tells him he'll send him to a hospital. However, Gun-hee says it's not use after taking damage from those attacks. He goes on to explain that he came in contact with a supreme being and has learned their plan, the remaining fight, and the things they must do, and is relieved that Jin is here. Thanking Jin once more for possessing such power, he says that the gates and dungeons weren't for them, but simply a means the rulers used to protect them. Telling Jin-Woo that he'll someday have to choose which side to stand on, the chairman requests he remains on the side of the humans, admitting that he had always wanted to fight alongside young hunters like Jin-Woo. However, his failing body had made it an impossible feat. Nonetheless, he had no regrets, for he could now entrust the future to the younger generation. Slipping into unconsciousness, he sheds a tear as his grip loosens and his arm falls. The surrounding ice shattered, and the cracked barrier broke as Jin sits over Go Gun-hee's body. Hit that follow thing.